Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to this in-depth look at the astrological natal chart with the current transits for the Prime Minister, not for much longer, of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson. So I decided very quickly to do this video because he has brought down his government. I doubt he intended that. But let's have a look at his chart. What I'm going to do is look at the current transits of when the news came out on the news that he was actually going to resign. Then I'm going to just overlay the forthcoming triple conjunction that we've got in Taurus, which is between Uranus, my big outer boy, the planet of the unexpected, and it's conjunct Mars, and also the North Node. This is about destiny. So let me just dive into Boris's chart first. Well, it's interesting because he's Sun Gemini. So he certainly has the gift of the gab, so to speak. But his moon is in Scorpio. So he does have this kind of inner sense of needing to transform and change things. And with his Libra ascendant, he's really been quite well appointed to be balanced about the way that he can run whatever business he is involved in. What's interesting is that he was born in New York on the 19th of June, 1964 at 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Now, why that's interesting is because I'm thinking about that Pluto return for the United States, because I just wonder, because of his location at birth, whether that is having an effect on what is happening to him now. Because I actually did my Pluto return video for the US a few days ago, and that's now up on my YouTube channel. And I talked about the fact that this could see significant people falling from grace. That's also shown in the full moon energy that we have this month on the 13th, which is only a few days away in Capricorn. That full moon, a super moon, is conjunct that Pluto return point in the chart of the United States. So therefore, this is having an effect on Boris. But when I looked at his chart, I thought it's not actually his Libra ascendant or his moon in Scorpio or his sun in Gemini that is being particularly affected. But what is being affected today is that Uranus, transiting Uranus in Taurus, our planet of the unexpected, of shocks, of disruption, of breakthrough, of breaking away, of breaking down, is conjunct his Jupiter. His natal Jupiter is in Taurus. Not only that, but Jupiter and transiting Uranus and the transiting North Node, which of course Uranus is now conjunct, is in the part of his chart that is his 8th house. This is the house of endings and beginnings. This is the house of transformation. So it could have gone either way for him today. And of course, he hasn't officially yet, as I record this video, at midday Central European time on Thursday, the 7th of July, he has not as yet actually come out and voiced the words, "I am offering my resignation." But I think it was probably a foregone conclusion with this Uranus conjunct his Jupiter that this was in fact going to happen. And I'm just going to look at what else is going on in his chart to see how he's going to fare through this, because, well, The moon today, the transiting moon, which is in Libra, so he's actually had it just going over his ascendant, is actually well placed, and it's making a nice angle to his natal Mercury. And so I actually suspect he will come out and talk with a sense of dignity and maybe even a sense of humility. We can but hope so. Mercury is also, transiting Mercury is conjunct his natal Venus. Now, I think it's also conjunct his natal Sun. I just feel that this is giving him an ability to find a way to save face through the way he leaves. I think he is now working very hard on making his leaving a good departure. Certainly that would be what serves him best. And he has got some good transits, because transiting retrograde Saturn in Aquarius is making a lovely aspect to both his moon, his sun, Mercury, and Venus, and they are all, of course, in Gemini. So he has got, he's been described as somebody who can kind of get out of sticky situations. And I'm beginning to think that this might not be any different, that somehow he will come out of this okay. He's a Sun Gemini. Now, Geminis are very good at thinking on the go. They're good at winging it. They're good at coming out with the right words, the right phrases. They're quick thinking. With his Libran ascendant, he is about getting the balance. So he's really looking at how he can somehow save himself in some way from what his moon in Scorpio is really kind of pushing him into. Because if we just turn this chart round to see what the current transits and the houses that they are affecting in his natal chart, all of this is in his 10th house of career. This is about his public standing. And the midheaven for this current transit chart is Gemini. Well, of course, he's Sun Gemini. So this is a very pertinent chart for him. It's very important energetic energy for him. It's interesting because his natal Chiron is in Pisces, and this is falling in the part of his chart that is to do with his significant close relationships. And it's conjunct transiting Juno, which is our asteroid of relationships. And it may be that he will really look to see if he can actually heal some of the gaping wounds that he has caused to people. And I'm not sure that any of this has been overtly deliberate in his case. You all have your own views. I have my views. What I'm doing is unpacking the chart and saying what the astrology tells me. So I think he's just kind of lost his way a bit. Some of you might say, well, he's lost his way a lot. But what's interesting is that the Uranus North Node conjunction in this particular chart is in the 9th house of far distance travel, of learning, also, of course, conjunct his Jupiter. I suspect he will actually leave the country for a while. And it may well be, or he may well distance himself from the government and from politics for a while to kind of regroup and see where he wants to move to next. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in the charts for the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction, which is really from the middle of July until the middle of August, because I do feel this conjunction is part of what he's experiencing. And as I do this, it is very interesting because, again, it's in his 8th house of beginnings, endings, transformation. It's also to do with funding and other people's funding. You could say this is to do with the government and government funds as well. And this Mars conjunct Uranus, conjunct the North Node, is not only conjunct his natal Jupiter. This is always going to be big for him. This was, if he hadn't gone today, it would not have been long before he would have not had no choice but to back down. And his natal Mars is, interestingly, in Gemini. So it is widely conjunct this node Mars-Uranus conjunction. And I just think that the next month or so for him are going to be quite dramatic, life-changing. And it's interesting because the transiting asteroid Chiron, our wounded healer, is also in the 7th house. He's got a lot of bridges to build with those that are dear to him. He's got a lot of healing that he needs to be instigating to actually calm down what has been evoked by this major government collapse. You know, it's a bit like, I think I used the title for this video was United We Stand, Divided We Fall. But you know, in many ways, it's divided they stood, and united they have fallen. They've all fallen on their own swords. And what's also super interesting is that, you see, Boris Johnson was born in the 60s. He was if you like, flower child, a child of the 60s, of sort of, you know, the make love not war, peace movement. And at that time, we had transiting Uranus and transiting Pluto, conjunct in Virgo. And this created a kind of a decade, if you like, of babies who were always going to be rebellious, who were always going to sort of get on the wrong side of the tracks, who were always going to change things in some way. If you're born in the 60s, especially the mid-60s, I'm sure you recognize in yourself that rebellious streak that Boris certainly has. But this Mars-Uranus North Node conjunct in Taurus, triple conjunction, has the moon in Virgo in the 12th house. And this is the point I'm going to kind of bring this short video to a close, because what this is telling me is that he needs to now take time out for reflection. If he does that and attends to his inner self, I think he is going to be quite riddled with anxiety. I suspect he is going to be doing a lot of navel picking. I don't think he thought this would happen. Yes, he has a narcissistic persona. And as I've said in some of my videos, narcissism is kind of a necessary part of being a leader, because if a leader doesn't have some form of narcissism, it's very difficult for them to stand up and, you know, say, I'm the leader, I'm going to take it from here. And it's really when that narcissism gets distorted, as it can do because the ego gets so inflated. We've seen that with Mr. Trump, the ex-president of the United States. His ego and his narcissism got so inflated that it, in a sense, has been very damaging to him. And Boris, if you're watching this video, why don't you book a few sessions of therapy with me? Because I think you're okay, actually. And I'd love it if you gave me the opportunity to help you kind of make sense of what's happening in your life. Okay, so on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming to join me for this brief video on the sad, or some might say wonderful, downfall of Boris Johnson. And let's see what unfolds next. Thank you so much for coming, and please like, comment and subscribe. That would be super lovely. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.